All right, class. Today is a big one. We are going to put the entire alphabet soup of hieroglyphics together, and we're going to walk through one sentence, word at a time, tense at a time, and really put all of our learning to work and see how far we've come. All right, so as a reminder of where we are, the last few weeks we have been talking about a different form of verb, the relative form, which is the form that characterizes someone versus describing them, says what they do, not who they are. It's something that's not really used in English. It is, but not as common as it is in hieroglyphics. And the cousin of the relative form is the participle verb. So participle verbs, which double in the present and don't double in the past, except for the strong verb, which doesn't double, this means someone did something. Someone loved, someone favored, someone praised, someone ran. All right, so that's how it fits into the sentence. And as far as our hints for all of the different verb tenses, we know that an infinitive, the weak and the extra weak have a T. General present doubles the verb. Doubling verbs double. Specific present is the infinitive form preceded by is, the head with the dash stroke on it. Past negative has an N and then the pronoun. Future negative has a present and then adds the does not add the N. And then our relative form and participle, which we just went over. All right, so that's definitely a slide to pay attention to. Go back to it if you need, because those are the hints to know what form you're in. And today we're going to look at this sentence here. We're going to go glyph by glyph, word by word, and really dive in for the next 9 minutes to understand why it translates the way it did. Okay, so let's start with the first glyphs. So we have the bird with the little thing coming out of its neck, and then the basket. So ba'a, the first, and k. So if you remember, ba'ak is the word for servant. So when you see that little thing coming out of the neck there, the little drop, that's ba. All right, now we have the horned viper below it, which is F, and you may remember is the pronoun him, his, he. So in this case, we have servant him, or servant his, or servant he. But like French, things get reversed in hieroglyphics. So, all right, now we have the garden hoe, the statue base, and the arm, making ma'a, or ma, because we can cross off the double sounds that repeat. Those are just there to jog your memory of the word you're reading. Now, the word ma'a is a word you probably are familiar with because we covered it extensively back in episode 53 as part of the phrase ma'aharu. Ma'aharu is the word for justified or literally true of voice. So ma'a, true, haru, voice. So you'll recognize that the first part of ma'aharu is right here, ma'a. So hence ma'a is true. Don't have the voice part of the phrase. We just have the word true. So yeah, I mean, it still builds your vocabulary, right? See, you recognize ma'a from ma'aharu right there. All right, and that's kind of the way it's done, is piecing it together and remembering other phrases and being able to extrapolate words from them. Okay, so we recognize ma'aharu. So we have servant, his true, or in English, his true servant. Because again, like Spanish and French, the verb and descriptor pronoun comes after. So it's his true servant, not true servant, true his. All right, now we have the N, the squiggly water sign, which means of or for, as in for the ka of. You remember that phrase? It can mean of or for. And now this is followed by the word with the steps st, the loaf t, and the heart ib, which can be a determinative, but is sometimes just used to be ib. But because it's at the end, it also adds that love, affection, heart, hence the word is affection or intimacy. So we have n st ib, which means of or for affection. So now we can start to put it all together. We have his true servant of, and we have another F, the horned viper there at the end. So another him, his, or he. So putting it all together, so far we've got his true servant of N, his F, true affection. All right, so he seems to like his servant very much. Let's find out what the servant does and when he does it. All right, so now going down to the second line, we have IRR, which you might recognize as the verb to do, but this is the relative form. So it isn't to do, but rather who does something. Because again, we're describing them. It's the relative form, not the straight verb of doing. So his true servant of his affection, who does. All right, and remember, relative form is going to pop up a lot. It's used in Egyptian way more than English. It's very, very common, so you should absolutely get used to seeing it. Now we have the twisted twine, flax, followed by the pot, two door locks, a loaf, and then another horned viper. So we've got hst, followed by an F. And if you remember your vocabulary, hst, H-S-T, again, we can cross off the extra consonants. Hist means to favor. And then, again, because it's followed by the horned viper, it is he who favors. But look what we have here. This isn't just the relative form. We are dealing with a participle. How do we know it's a participle? Because the T is doubled. Remember, in the present form of the participle, every verb form, except for strong verbs, double a consonant. That's the clue that you know you're dealing with the participle form. So yes, the strong verb can be hard to distinguish between present and past. You have to use context, but every other verb form, doubling weak and extra weak verbs, all have a double consonant at the end of the verb. So that's how we know this isn't to favor, but rather it is a participle form. So it changes to what he favors with the T at the end. So it's who does what he favors, meaning the servant is doing what his master or his lord favors of him. That's a perfect example of how the participle version of the verb becomes a characterization of the person and not just a description. All right, so our whole sentence, his true servant of his affection, who does what he favors. And when does he do the favoring? Well, we have our last verb, Ra, the sun disk, R-A, or Ra. That the A is in the phonetical, with a little dash there. And then Nub, which is the basket without a handle. Now, remember, the word Nub can mean Lord or every. Ra means day, like sun, Lord Ra. So it can mean sun, but it usually means day. And NB, Nub, has two meanings, Lord or every. It depends on where the word is. If it's before a word, it's the word Lord. If it's after a word, it's the word every. So in this case, if I write both Ra, Nub, and Nub, Ra there to the side to show how the placement of NB, the basket without a handle, if it's after, so now you've got day, every, because if it's after the verb or the word, it becomes the word every. Or if it's before the word, so Nub, Ra, now it's Lord day or Lord of day. You see the difference? Same two letters, but very different meaning. It's just one of those words, and it's an important one that switches meaning based on where it is. All right, so now we got our whole sentence. His true servant of his affection, who does what he favors every day. That was a lot. All right, write this one down. This is a great sentence to write down every glyph and spend some time really studying why the words mean what they do, why the verbs mean what they do, and why the placement of different pronouns modify different nouns and different verbs. So this sentence is a really, really helpful one to study. And you're on your way. Boy, we are really rocking it. As soon as we finish up by about episode 100, we're just going to be doing vocabulary. So we only have a few lessons left. All right. Hope you enjoyed this. Please do share with others. The class is always open to all who want to join. Thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys next week for more doodling with purpose.